afternoon, Megan Onan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for accepting this Skype interview. I'm very, very pleased to be speaking of living from an open heart and what it takes. One of your
Yes,
favorite
me
subjects.
too. It is. It's one of my very favorite subjects, and it's what I really target when I'm working with any of my clients, or the message that my book presents is helping the people live their heaven on earth. And part of doing that is discovering your passion within and finding the process and ways to take the steps to leap forward and do what you've always wanted to do.
Yeah, yeah. But unfortunately, we face adversity. Some of us loses our job, and then what?
Good point. A lot of that's happening this day and age, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
what do
well,
we do? What do we do with that? Because there is heaven on earth sounds wonderful, but when we're faced with fears,
right.
adversity, we don't see sometimes any light ahead.
You're right. And sometimes just taking one step is what kind of produces more light that shows us the end of the tunnel. I can speak to that. Not too long ago, I would say about a year ago, I was working a 9 to 5 job and I decided it wasn't fulfilling and that I was going to write and publish a book and live the life of my dreams. So what did I do? I thought, well, I might as well just quit my job. So I did. I gave my 2 weeks notice that day and I just went for it. And I didn't have any savings, nothing. I just went for it and I didn't have any idea where I was going, but I just trusted that I was going the right direction. So I left and it has been an absolute amazing journey. And I'm not saying it's been super easy every step of the way because my faith and my hope and everything has been tested, but it has definitely been a learning experience, and everything that has come my way in the process has been a part of the path that needed to either be healed or needed to serve me in some way to get me to where I want to go. And so even though a lot of us are talking about these economic times, there's always abundance and there's always support and there's always something out there for us waiting for us just to say yes.
Mm.
So, so I know a lot of we're in that boat. A lot of us don't like our jobs. A lot of us aren't happy with the way our life looks. And the first thing that you can do is to just be willing to be open to what's out there for you.
So what are some of the tools, or how do you do to stay focused on that dream, keep your heart open while there is those day-to-day obligations?
Exactly. That's a good question. And that's a lot of question. That's the same question I get from a lot of people. And the best thing you can do is to create balance in your life. And that's not just creating balance in your spiritual life. It's creating balance in your relationships. It's creating balance with your family. It's creating balance in your exercise and your body and your mind and every single area you need to look at and kind of list the visions you have to make that area something where you feel balanced. And so, and sometimes we really get caught up in doing things for other people and we forget that sometimes we have to choose ourselves. And a lot of that comes from creating balance in your life. And so what I like to do is teach people to look at every area of your life and begin to create the life that you want to live. And so it is a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to be willing to be committed to that practice, to sitting down every day and wanting to say yes to every area of your life. It's not just one. So, you do have to push through some of those tough walls, but that comes just from a willingness and a passion from the vision you've already created.
So you're saying yes even when something appears to be negative. You're actually accepting the situations.
Yes, and sometimes quicker than others, and sometimes it takes me a few weeks, and sometimes it takes me a few months or a few years, but always say yes. Always say yes. If it comes from my heart and I know that it's something I want in my life, then I will say yes and I'll do and work on whatever I have to work on to get to where I want to go.
So do you actually check with your heart to see if it's something that you should be doing when you have to make decisions?
I do, and I have a tool that I use for that, and I like to call it just the heart tool. And what you can do is just notice the area in your body the way it reacts when something really strikes a passion within you or your heart's desire. So if I read a really beautiful article by an author and it strikes something within me that just really makes my heart fly, I've noticed that I get butterflies in my stomach. And so I use that as a tool with decisions or choices that I'm going to make. So if I'm trying to decide on the web designer I'm going to use, or if I'm trying to decide on the next job I'm going to have, I try to use that tool to help me make a choice on which direction I'm going to choose. So if that web designer is the right designer, then my heart and those butterflies on my stomach are going to tell me that's the direction I need to go.
So for you, it would always be in your stomach.
For me, it's always in my stomach, and it's different for everybody. It's different for everybody. So, and you just need to spend some time really paying attention to your day-to-day life and what's really striking you and where your body is resonating.
Oh, that's interesting. So, so then what happens? Because we start opening our heart. Then you start your day. You start opening your heart. Gratitude is a big tool, isn't it?
Gratitude is a big tool, definitely. And a lot of what you'll notice as you go through the process of being willing to create balance in your life and live from your heart desire is that gratitude is going to be a piece of that. And you may form a practice in the morning if it's meditation, prayer, if it's journaling, or if it's just sitting with a cup of coffee. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just whatever speaks to you, is to find a way to be grateful each day for something. And you'll notice that will start to be grateful for everything that's happening, and you'll start to see that whatever is coming your way is coming for a reason, and you become grateful because you may not know why that's coming into your life, but you know it's coming for a reason, and that eventually it'll unfold and you'll discover, and sometimes you may not ever discover why it's coming into your life, but you're just grateful that it's happening and that you're on this path and knowing that you are going and living your dream.
But sometimes the living from the heart is going towards the unknown as well and embracing that unknown, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that is what's so scary for everybody. And I totally understand that. It doesn't mean, like I said earlier, it doesn't mean that it's an easy process. It means that you have to continually push yourself to trust the unknown, which is very, very scary. We are human beings, and we have those aspects of ourselves that are a fear, and that creates a lot of our tension, is the fear that is within us. But that's why balance is so important to create in your life, in your everyday tools and your meditations and whatever it is you bring into your life, to keep you in the moment so that you aren't looking too far ahead in the future. You hold the vision, but you're not worried about the details of how it's going to play out. And so you really continue to focus on the vision and continue to believe that whatever's coming your way is exactly what you need to move forward.
And when we start to love ourselves, you're saying, and you do quite a lot of speaking around the country where you actually say that apparently that this is the time where you can really find your own personal, the real truth, what you're meant to do. Until you love yourself, this ain't gonna happen, as we say in the US.
That's right. Yeah, and that's exactly, and that's one of the chapters in my book is how can you go out and do what you want to do until you do love yourself. And a lot of doing that is when you start to create balance in your life, you start to look at all of these areas and you see that you aren't honoring who you are, that you're doing this for this person, you're doing that for that person, and you start to see these patterns and these beliefs that you've held for so long, and it gives you an opportunity to notice it. And one of the first steps to loving yourself is noticing what your patterns and beliefs are so that you can begin to break those and make different choices. But like I said before, it is having that willingness to want to love yourself and to take the steps that you need to take to do that. So,
and that's not selfish to love ourselves.
No, but a lot of religions and a lot of messages that are out there do teach us that it is selfish to love ourselves, and that's one of the beliefs that I held on to for a long time and was finally able to break and still working on. But it is something that we're taught, that it is selfish, and I think it's a generational and a cultural thing too. It depends on where you're from and what kind of experiences you've had or what you've grown up in. But it is definitely something we are taught.
Yeah, and we have to remove all that because this is. It seems like at some point in life it's just about unpeeling and peeling and peeling those layers of things that we've experienced, and
Right.
it can take time, but it can also go fast if we allow this healing to take place. Do you at any time cover the soul, or do you believe that we have a soul's plan, or do you deal with the spirituality, or mainly just really creating heaven on earth, but from a human being perspective?
I like to focus on all of those things. I want to reach an audience that it touches everybody. So I really try to put forth information that's beneficial for a lot of different people. I like to focus on the human being because, after all, that's what we are. But I also know that we are spiritual beings. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, and that's ultimately what I believe. So I don't practice one particular philosophy. I bring in a lot of different things from different aspects of different religions or cultures or whatever you want to call it. So I try to focus on the spiritual aspect and help people find the spiritual truth that is within them that works for them. And so I'm not opposed to any one way. It's just whatever works for a person is what they should use in their life to help them live their heart's desire or to help live in their heaven on earth.
Have you always been a coach?
No, I haven't. I have not always been a coach. It's something that I've just started doing in the last few years. And before that, my degree's in psychology, and I have been a rehabilitation counselor for people with disabilities. And my specialty was in people who are blind or visually impaired. So that's my past life, and I decided about a year ago that I was done with that. And it was time to really focus on the stuff that I wanted to do. So.
But that flows in. That's that one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one led you to the next. I
Right.
guess that you have to really practice unconditional love with those patients.
Absolutely. And every day is an opportunity to practice unconditional love. And I know that every step I've taken in my life has led me to right now in this moment. And I'm grateful for all of those aspects. I knew while I was going through those aspects that I was learning and being taught different lessons. And so it has all served me greatly in what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're leading an amazing project. Can you tell us more about
Yes.
that?
Sure. Once I quit my job, I just kind of got this vision one day that I was supposed to start a nonprofit and a foundation, and it has turned into, and it has done a roller coaster ride and changed visions along the way. But it's called the Onan Project for Change, and what we're doing is giving scholarships to teenagers to receive life coaching services, and we're also working really hard to put them with professional mentors in local universities to help them get internships or just different experiences out in the world. This year we're targeting our pilot program in the state of Mississippi because we feel like there's a really high need there. And so we're going to be beginning in one of the schools in Mississippi in just 3 weeks. So we're really excited, and we're trying to develop a program that can be recreated in any school system where kids feel supported, they feel consistency, they learn life skills and tools that will help them live their heaven on earth. And we just believe that the way you change the world is to give people those tools and help them find the passions of their heart, because that's going to go out and touch millions of people, just one person at a time. And so that's what we're trying to do. And for all the people who want to receive our services but aren't selected for our program, we're setting up a scholarship fund where there will be a small application process for people to go through to receive a life coaching scholarship, and then we will hook them up with life coaches. So we don't want to disclude anybody. So it's not just teenagers, it's the teachers, it's the parents, it's the community. Whoever wants to be involved will be able to do that. In about a year, we're gonna be set up and ready to go. So it's a cool project, and we're excited about where it's going to take us. And we don't know where it's going to take us, but we just know it's going in the right direction.
So what do you mainly see with teenagers these days? What is the new generation facing? Are they facing some new challenges or have some problems that we were not having at the time? I mean, what do they need coaching on, or is it the same old teenager problems?
I think some of the problems are, I work with a lot of teenagers. So I think some of the problems are similar to when I was a teenager, maybe when you were a teenager, when my parents were teenagers. But I think it is a new generation. I think that they are more willing to dive deep within themselves and find what their purpose is on this earth. And in working with adults versus working with teenagers, teenagers will go through the process of 3 months and completely turn into a different person. With adults, we have to work through old beliefs, old patterns, and it takes a little bit more time to help them work through some of those things. So that's why I really wanted to target teens, is because they make such a big difference, and they're not adults yet. They're not out there in the working world. They're not out in their professional life yet. And so I just find them very willing and ready to open up to possibilities.
Yeah, and that's a big part of the whole thing, being ready and being ready and open. Until we're
Exactly.
ready and open.
That's the first step. You're very right on that.
Well, thank you. It was very nice meeting you and discussing
Thank
your
you.
wonderful projects around the world. And you have your own website that I will make sure that I'll link from here.
Okay.
Thank you very
Perfect.
much, Megan.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.